pair of twin sisters. The older sister, Xiao Ran, had been excellent since childhood, and the younger sister, Jiang Li, was the opposite. Today, due to an unintentional mistake by her older sister, the older sister was in a car accident. But the older sister still had an important contract to sign, and everyone in the company was waiting for her. The younger sister had no choice but to replace her older sister to sign the contract that her older sister had worked so hard to win. However, it was discovered by Zheng Yi because he and her older sister were originally a fake couple. Seeing that the matter could no longer be hidden, she had no choice but to tell Zheng Yi the truth. Her older sister was now unconscious. The two of them had no choice but to accept this reality. But Xiao Ran was in charge of this contract. The company could do nothing without her. Now that her older sister was unconscious, Zheng Yi had no other way but to let the younger sister enter the company to replace her older sister. With her carefree personality, after a long time, she would definitely be worn down, and Zheng Yi also promised to help her with things at work. In fact, Zheng Yi was the one who planned this because the two had known each other since childhood. When he was young, he fell in love with this girl at first sight. Today was her first day working for her older sister. Zheng Yi would give her an important task, to pick up a big star for Lu Meng Company. But she never thought that she would even wear clothes similar to a big star. How unlucky. Early in the morning, she ran into a dog following her. Before, Xiao Ran would pour coffee directly onto the other person's clothes. Everyone was curious to see what she would do this time. Unexpectedly, Jiang Li took off her clothes and threw them on the table. This pleased a scheming girl. Zheng Yi was afraid this little girl would be bullied, so he directly followed her. The scheming girl actually hugged Zheng Yi's arm in front of her. Zheng Yi immediately refused her impatiently. The scheming woman never gave up, and she asked him to attend the celebratory party in the evening. Jiang Li, as the producer, of course, had to attend. She saw that Jiang Li was also here. The scheming girl couldn't sit still and went to Jiang Li, expressing her respect, then intentionally spilled wine on her. Jiang Li had no choice but to go to the restroom to adjust her clothes, and she never wanted to come out. But unexpectedly, she ran into a gangster who placed his arm directly on Jiang Li's shoulder. Facing such a scene, she suddenly didn't know what to do. Fortunately, the CEO appeared in time. The CEO rushed to her rescue, holding the girl in his arms and intimately draping his jacket over her. But the image of Jiang Li being bullied by the gangster made it to the hot search the next day. This caused the company's stock to plummet. As a result, she was accused by the company's shareholders. Zheng Yi would never miss such a good opportunity. He proposed a solution to the shareholders. They lived together. The directors voted unanimously. This scared Jiang Li. The CEO was behind this to get the girl he liked. It was fine if he suffered a little loss. But Jiang Li didn't know this. Facing her comatose older sister, she had to agree to the CEO's proposal. Then she went to Zheng Yi's house with 2 large suitcases. The cohabitation of the two was big news. Reporters were secretly sitting near the CEO's house. To deceive the reporters, Zheng Yi wrapped his arm around Jiang Li. At this moment, she was very helpless. She kissed the CEO's face. "What are you doing?" "I said tidied your hair." At this moment, Jiang Li wished she could find a hole to crawl into. On the first day at Zheng Yi's house, Jiang Li took on the heavy responsibility of cooking. He came downstairs to eat after work. Carelessly, she actually took the CEO's 3 million yuan plate, taking it from next to the flower vase. He had bought this plate for 3 million yuan last week. Now, how could she afford to pay for it? She had to find a part-time job to pay off the debt. After a colleague found out, she came up with an idea. Instead of finding a job here, it would be better to please the CEO. Maybe one day he would be in a good mood, and he wouldn't make her pay back the money when she went home. She was very kind to Zheng Yi, washing his clothes, folding each one, and carefully giving them to him. But when she returned, she found that her pajamas had disappeared. Thinking about it, she must have accidentally put her pajamas in Zheng Yi's clothes. She thought she hadn't found him yet, but in reality, Zheng Yi was sitting behind her. A single man and a single woman sharing a room, truly dangerous. It turned out he mistakenly thought she had special preferences. As a result, the girl became worried. Jiang Li couldn't control her blushing and pounding heart. Women really have a lot of overlap. She quickly stood up and continued to apologize. The CEO also saw through her intentions. Today, she was very thoughtful only because of that plate. But then he said he wouldn't make her pay for it anymore. Jiang Li finally breathed a sigh of relief. 3 million was an astronomical figure for her. The next day, Jiang Li went out to discuss cooperation, making everything difficult because of the star Tang Na. The CEO appeared at just the right time. He only said a simple sentence that made the other party no longer dare to be arrogant. Jiang Li immediately looked at him with admiration. On the way back, she incessantly praised him as amazing. As a result, she was so happy that she accidentally sprained her ankle, almost falling, but the CEO caught her and she accidentally kissed his chest. So there was a big lipstick stain on the CEO's shirt. But what she cared about now was that she had to pay the CEO for another shirt. But this time he said it was fine, instead giving a smile. In fact, the CEO had loved this girl 15 years ago. It was just Jiang Li who was careless and didn't know. But Jiang Yi was good to Jiang Li, and the scheming woman became jealous. She heard that Jiang Yi and others would go up the mountain to enjoy the scenery tomorrow, and she wouldn't miss the opportunity to get close to the CEO. She just happened to have a casual encounter with the CEO, saying that she happened to be filming a commercial there. So she wiped the CEO's sweat in front of Jiang Li, but his assistant acted first. One attempt wouldn't be effective, so she would try again. She turned back and offered him a bottle of water. This time, the assistant didn't bring water, so the CEO had to accept it, reluctantly taking a sip. But the side chick wanted to drink it, so he turned and offered the water to Jiang Li. Jiang Li didn't want to drink it, but he was quick and pretended to be pitiful. Jiang Li took the water as soon as she saw it, at which point the scheming girl got angry. But she wouldn't give up. Then, pretending to trip on the stairs, she feigned helplessness, looking at him to be carried. But the CEO assigned this important task to his assistant, then pulled Jiang Li away. Working all day, the tired girl only wanted a hot shower, but in the middle of her shower, the water cut out. Then, while she was blow-drying her hair, the power went out. She couldn't sleep with wet hair. Jiang Li had no other choice but to pick up her hairdryer and knock on the CEO's door. She saw that his room still had power. She just wanted to borrow electricity to dry her hair. In fact, all of this was arranged by the CEO. He told his assistant to cut off the electricity and water in Jiang Li's room so he could be with her. He ignored her protests and dried her hair for her, a warm moment. Jiang Li actually fell asleep leaning on his shoulder. While she was using the restroom in the morning, the side chick Ding Yu was also there. She always wanted the leading role in the film Young Wanderer, so she intentionally set Jiang Li up. Sure enough, Jiang Li accidentally blurted out the truth. At this point, she began to take action. When Jiang Li went to work the next day, something big had happened to the company. The female lead of Young Wanderer was going to be replaced because her words had caused a big trouble for the company. To make things difficult for the CEO, the shareholders had to use Ding Yu as the female lead. In fact, everything was done by Ding Yu behind the scenes, and that's how she got the female lead. But she intentionally raised the price when signing the contract. Jiang Li didn't agree with her. The scheming girl said harshly before leaving, "If you don't raise the price, we don't need to talk." After that, Jiang Li angrily went to the CEO to complain. The CEO felt sorry for Jiang Li and suggested trying another female star, but she flatly refused. She would take responsibility for the trouble she had caused. So she went to meet Ding Yu again to negotiate the contract, but the side chick intentionally made things difficult for her, asking Jiang Li to hold her high heels. As a result, the entire film crew gossiped about it, but that wasn't enough. She asked Jiang Li to buy afternoon tea for everyone, but when she came back with the tea, she couldn't find anyone. Later she called, and she also said she was having dinner with the investors, and everyone was waiting for her. As a result, when Jiang Li arrived, she still didn't see anyone. Everyone had already finished eating. After it ended, the side chick intentionally said that she didn't bring her wallet, so Jiang Li had to pay for her. Ding Yu just played with her all day. After returning home, she had no choice but to vent her feelings in her heart. She asked her best friend out for coffee, but they were busy. She could only vent her anger on the CEO, who took out a card and gave it to her. Jiang Li received the card and immediately changed her expression. Ling Zheng, the CEO Zheng Yi's younger brother, was smashing things in his office. At this moment, Jiang Li couldn't bear it anymore and used words to accuse him. But Ling Zheng was very fierce, saying that he was the boss of this company, the Li family's own son. He also said that the CEO had been adopted by his parents. Now, everyone in the company knew that Zheng Yi was an adopted son. Hearing this, Jiang Li quickly spoke up for the CEO. Ling Zheng pointed a stick at Jiang Li, but at this moment, the CEO, afraid he would hurt the one he loved, blocked it in time. Later in the evening, the CEO told Jiang Li about his life. He was adopted by the Li family. A year later, his adoptive parents unexpectedly became pregnant and gave birth to Ling Zheng. Ling Zheng had opposed him ever since. She saw that Zheng Yi was sad, and she only thought of ways to make him happy. Then she told him to play a stimulating game together. Zheng Yi nodded with a smirk, and it turned out he had misunderstood. The stimulation from Jiang Li's mouth was just watching a horror movie. As soon as the movie started, Jiang Li was so scared that she ran into the CEO's arms. In fact, he was even more scared than she was, but facing the girl he loved, he just pretended to be calm to protect Jiang Li. Finally, she was scared and ran away. At this moment, he also took the opportunity to sneak away. The CEO was too scared to go to sleep. At this time, Jiang Li walked in with a pillow in her hand. She just wanted to sleep with him for one night. Wasn't this Zheng Yi's wish? But he also morally said, men and women should not touch each other, but Jiang Li said that she wouldn't take up his bed, she would just sleep on the floor. But how could he let the girl he loved sleep on the floor? But Jiang Li couldn't escape. The CEO had no choice but to use a bad move, telling Jiang Li that this house was haunted and strange things would crawl out from under the bed in the middle of the night. Finally, Jiang Li fearfully jumped onto the bed. His trick had finally succeeded, successfully tricking Jiang Li into his bed. He had thought this was the happy beginning of the two of them. But Zheng Ling, the CEO's younger brother, tried his best to destroy his relationship with Jiang Li. The girl was too impulsive. She had to take off the CEO's clothes. Looking at his abs, she forced the CEO to tie her hands. He told her to lie down and sleep. But Jiang Li unexpectedly grabbed his neck. She liked the CEO. Her heart was pounding wildly at this moment. He couldn't help but kiss Jiang Li, but she wasn't one to take a loss, immediately returning the kiss to the CEO. He still hadn't realized what was happening. Jiang Li carelessly actually fell asleep. She woke up early in the morning, thinking she had been kidnapped. She lifted the blanket and looked at her clothes still there. She felt relieved until she had breakfast with the CEO. Only then did she realize that the CEO had kidnapped her. The CEO just said that she was rude last night. Jiang Li thought about her behavior last night. She was ashamed that there was no drama for the scheming girl. When filming began, the side chick made a big deal out of not showing up. The CEO suggested finding a replacement. As a result, the director looked around, and finally he chose Jiang Li to replace the scheming girl. But this was the love scene of the male and female leads. The CEO saw Jiang Li and the hero being very close and suggested that the director use another replacement to film, but the director refused. Seeing the girl he loved having physical contact with another man, he couldn't stand it. He stood up, quickly wrapped Jiang Li in a towel, and carried her away like a princess. After returning home, Jiang Li had a rash all over her body. The CEO thought she must be allergic, so he quickly and thoughtfully applied medicine for her. Jiang Li should have thanked him. Looking at the girl being bullied by a man who was grasping her neck, the CEO suddenly appeared from a distance, pushing the man aside. But the man pulled Jiang Li back and said he was her boyfriend, startling Zheng Yi. The girl he liked already had a boyfriend. He hadn't even known. Then she quickly explained that he was her ex-boyfriend. Since he was an ex-boyfriend, he still had a chance. The CEO immediately declared his ownership. This man was Yin Fei, who was the boyfriend of Jiang Li's older sister and also a close friend from childhood. But this Yin Fei brazenly stayed, refusing to leave. At this moment, Zheng Yi, returning from work, saw this and couldn't help but feel jealous. Jiang Li could immediately tell that something was wrong with the CEO. Jiang Li went to work at night and saw a flower garden in the courtyard. Then, the two entered the flower house together, which contained all kinds of flowers. Jiang Li was so happy she didn't know what to say. From childhood to adulthood, this was the first time she had received flowers from a man. She quickly asked him to take a picture to capture this happy moment. Jiang Li, immersed in happiness, was about to have her true identity exposed. The side chick Ding Yu told her to undress in front of everyone, to provide an explanation, and also to make the scheming girl completely give up on suppressing her. Jiang Li actually revealed a scar on her shoulder at the party. Ding Yu was stunned when she saw it, but she didn't give up, saying that Xiao Ran had a serious car accident and her leg was injured. If she was fine, she should stand up and show everyone. Zheng Yi couldn't stand it anymore, stood up, and told them to stop. But the scheming girl continued to speak, saying that the two of them were guilty. To prove herself, Jiang Li slowly stood up, expressing much gratitude for their concern about the car accident, that the involved driver had been brought to justice, and that the mastermind behind it would soon be revealed. At this moment, Ding Yu was a little scared because she was the one behind the car accident. Her voice hadn't even faded when the police appeared, and Ding Yu was arrested on the spot. In fact, 1 hour before the party started, Jiang Li had discovered the scheming girl's plan. For safety reasons, the CEO didn't want Jiang Li to attend the party. It so happened that her sister woke up at this crucial moment, so the two sisters decided to plan for the scheming girl to receive her deserved punishment. Since her older sister's leg injury wouldn't heal, the younger sister would temporarily work in the company instead of her older sister. The scheming girl who played the lead in Young Wanderer was arrested by the police. The company had to find a new female lead. They proposed actress Liu Yu as the most suitable female lead for this film, but Jiang Li flatly refused. In fact, she had selfish motives. Last time, when Jiang Li was on her way to a party, she received intimate photos of Zheng Yi with her. Jiang Li was very jealous. If she let her be the female lead, she would see Zheng Yi every day. But she never thought that on this auspicious day, actress Liu Yu, who she had clearly refused, would appear here. The domineering CEO had fallen for a female employee of the company. He saw the girl waiting for the elevator, walked up, and started a conversation. Zheng Yi offered to take Jiang Li home, but she flatly refused. Zheng Yi didn't give up and followed her. Upon seeing him, She quickly pressed the elevator door, closing the CEO out. As long as it was a girl that Zhang Yi liked, he would never give up. In the evening, Zhang Yi called Jiang Li, saying that the power was out at his house, and then threw his phone to the ground. He pretended to have an accident, and then turned off his phone, faking an accident. This would make Jiang Li extremely worried and run to his house in the middle of the night. Zhang Yi was pretending to be pitiful, saying that he was afraid of being alone at home, asking Jiang Li to stay with him tonight. But her older sister didn't agree for the two of them to be together. Even though she wanted to leave, she didn't dare to disobey her older sister. She could see the CEO's pitiful expression. She couldn't bear it, and finally decided to stay. Zhang Yi's careful plan had finally succeeded. For the girl he liked, he could do anything so Jiang Li would sleep in the same bed with him. But as soon as she fell asleep, he just wanted to do something. Her older sister called at this moment, but Zhang Yi ignored it. Her older sister was worried and sent another message. After looking at it, he decided to spread false information about it. He took a picture as if they were together, sent it to her older sister, and then turned off his phone. The older sister had seen the picture of the two of them and was so angry that she wouldn't let them be together. The older sister hired a maid for Zhang Yi's house. He knew at a glance that it was Xiao Ran's trick. Behind his back, he told the maid to cook a table of dishes for him, all of them spicy. Then he took a picture and sent it to Jiang Li because she knew he had stomach problems. Jiang Li worriedly went to the CEO's house. Finally, she was shown his room. Everything was in a mess. At this moment, Jiang Li quickly helped him clean up. It wasn't over yet. Then, she saw a long strand of hair on Zhang Yi's bed. It clearly wasn't her hair. She immediately thought about the maid she saw in the living room earlier. That hair must be hers. She fired the maid without hesitation, then called her older sister, blaming her for finding a maid for Zhang Yi who was climbing into his bed this time. In fact, all of this was planned by Zhang Yi. Then he used the power of public opinion. When dating Jiang Li, he intentionally kissed her in front of the reporter's lens so that the paparazzi could expose their relationship. In this way, the relationship between the two immediately became a hot topic. To silence public opinion, Jiang Li decided to move into Zhang Yi's house. Then Zhang Yi told Xiao Ran that he was dating her younger sister. The older sister had nothing to say to them, but moments of happiness were always short-lived. Just as the two confirmed their relationship, Ning Xia, who liked Zhang, suddenly returned from abroad and brought gifts for everyone. When she learned that Zhang Yi liked Jiang Li, she didn't give up on the man she had loved for 5 years. Zhang Yi had fallen for a naive girl who knew nothing, so she sought out Jiang Li. During a conversation between the two, she casually mentioned that Zhang Yi had a girl he really liked, but unfortunately, it didn't work out in the end. Since then, Zhang Yi hadn't believed in love, only working hard. A seemingly normal conversation between the two was actually Ning Xia's deliberate provocation. As a result, the next day, Jiang Li went out to buy milk tea, and she coincidentally ran into Zhang Yi with her. Then he offered Ning Xia a cup, but she couldn't drink iced drinks. Jiang Li suddenly felt very awkward. When the two left, she saw a hair tie on Ning Xia's head. She also thought that Zhang Yi also had the same hair tie. Now she finally knew who the girl Ning Xia was talking about was. Jiang Li didn't eat dinner after getting off work and went home. Zhang Yi could tell at a glance that she wasn't happy and quickly added meat to her plate. But Jiang Li said that she was on a diet. But she didn't know that Zhang Yi put down the meat and quickly picked up vegetables for her. She then said that he was making her eat vegetarian food. A girl in anger was really hard to please. Then she just wanted to post on Weibo, so Zhang Yi would know she was angry. She only let him see it. She waited for a long time, but didn't see Zhang Yi respond. At this time, Ning Xia had also posted a post on Weibo, still a picture of her and Zhang Yi when they were students. Zhang Yi immediately liked her post. This made Jiang Li very angry. She angrily went to find Zhang Yi, asking why he couldn't see what she posted, but Ning Xia just posted something, and he immediately went to like it. Then she handed him her phone to see. At this moment, Zhang Yi was stunned. He really couldn't see what she posted. Jiang Li didn't believe it, looked at his phone again, and only then did she realize she had just made a mistake. It turned out he had been blocked by mistake. She was angry at herself for being so stupid. In an instant, she saw his hair tie. Jiang Li picked it up and threw it away, but Zhang Yi stopped her. But she warned him that if he didn't throw it away now, she would leave him. He threw it outside without hesitation. Jiang Li saw his reaction and suddenly felt like she was being too much. That morning, she secretly picked up the hair tie, gave it to Zhang Yi, and examined herself. In fact, Jiang Li had worn this hair tie when she was young. It's just that she didn't remember it at all. The two returned to the way they were when they first fell in love. The next day, Zhang Yi saw the hair tie on Ning Xia's head. Now he finally knew why Jiang Li was angry. It turned out that Ning Xia was behind all the instigation. Besides, to win the copyright of Yin Fei's work, Jiang Li had a drink with him as a last resort. Coincidentally, Zhang Yi actually saw it. He rushed over. The domineering CEO unintentionally saw the girl he liked, even going out for drinks with her older sister's boyfriend. The girl also saw him, feeling that trouble had arrived. After the two returned home, he interrogated her. Jiangli was gagged and couldn't explain clearly. In fact, she and Yanfei had only had one glass of wine. It was all about the copyright of the book. Jiangli continuously apologized to Zheng Yi, promising herself that there would never be a next time. In fact, he also knew why she did this, but somehow, seeing her close to someone else, he felt sad. How could he not be angry? Then, to atone for her actions, Jiangli intentionally kissed Zheng Yi's face, but seeing that he was still not satisfied with her performance, she would just give him another 1,000 kisses. That was how he passed the test. In the end, he still loved Jiangli. She knew Ningxia was also doing this project, so she didn't want to lose to her opponent. Feeling forced and helpless, she had no choice but to use a trick, planning to ask Zheng to let her go to her older sister's house. Unexpectedly, just as the two stepped into the car, Jiangli hadn't even gotten in yet when Ningxia appeared and sat in the front seat, asking Zheng Yi to take her home first. Jiangli resolutely refused to give in. Then Jiangli said that Zheng Yi wanted to take her to her older sister's house for dinner. Ningxia turned to look at Zheng Yi. Seeing him nod, she had no choice but to leave in despair. After getting in the car, Jiangli angrily sprayed perfume in the car. Zheng Yi wanted to appease Jiangli, so he quickly took out a pillow. He had prepared this for his girlfriend from the back seat and gave it to her. This made Jiangli very happy. Originally, she only wanted Zheng Yi to take her to her older sister's house and leave, but the CEO didn't listen. The older sister looked disgusted when she saw him. The older sister didn't want to eat at the same table with Zheng Yi, but the CEO said that today, he was taking on the identity of Jiang Li's boyfriend, especially coming to visit his girlfriend's older sister. He intentionally went against her older sister. Seeing Jiang Li invite her older sister to eat a chicken leg, Zheng Yi wanted to act cute in front of Xiao Ran, saying that he also wanted to eat a chicken leg. Jiang Li said that she would make him one later, but he said that he only wanted to eat it now. Jiang Li turned and looked at her older sister's angry face, and then looked at Zheng Yi's pitiful look. She didn't know what to do. Then Zheng Yi continued to act cute towards Jiang Li. The domineering CEO behaved like a child, no less than a baby. In reality, her older sister didn't want them to be together for a reason, because Xiao Ran believed that Zheng Yi approached her younger sister with a purpose. Xiao Ran didn't want her younger sister to get hurt. After returning home, Zheng Yi hesitantly asked Jiang Li if her older sister said that he had proactively approached her. But Jiang Li didn't think so much about it. She chose to believe him. At this moment, he also made up his mind. No one could stop the two of them from being together. The next day, Jiang Li happily brought coffee to Zheng Yi. As a result, the assistant told her that the CEO was on a business trip. Jiang Li looked disappointed. Then she immediately called Zheng Yi. He apologized for leaving too hastily, saying he forgot to inform her. The two were talking happily on the phone when Ningxia suddenly appeared. She wanted Zheng Yi to go shopping with her. Hearing these words, Jiang Li felt a little sad. To avoid making Jiang Li sad, Zheng Yi finished his work and immediately flew back to her. He also brought a gift for Jiang Li, a very beautiful silk scarf, and he personally tied it for her. He also said that he had specially chosen it for her. Jiang Li only wanted to wear it to work at the company to show off in front of her colleagues. As a result, she coincidentally ran into Ningxia as soon as she arrived at the company, and she said that she thought this color suited her. She also said that when she went shopping with Zheng Yi, she fell in love with this color at first sight, but she didn't think this color suited her, so she had changed it to blue. Seeing Ningxia proudly leave, Jiang Li couldn't bear it anymore. She didn't take the scarf with her, she immediately took it off. Later, Jiang Li returned to the office, and she saw a picture of the two of them strolling together, becoming even more angry. At this point, Zheng Yi came to call her for lunch, but this time, he saw her and asked why she wasn't wearing that silk scarf. At this point, Jiang Li was full of anger. He saw she was angry and still didn't know what had happened. As a result, as soon as they left the company, they saw Ningxia, in addition to a silk scarf around her neck. The side chick explained that because she thought it was beautiful, she also bought one. At this point, Zheng Yi immediately understood everything. In the evening, he went to see Jiang Li to explain. The silk scarf of Ningxia was absolutely not bought by him. How could Jiang Li believe it? To avoid making Jiang Li angry, Zheng Yi once again confessed his feelings to Jiang Li. Zheng Yi only liked Jiang Li. Hearing him say this, she also calmed down. But coincidentally, she ran into Ningxia again when she went to work. This time, Jiang Li had an iron heart. She intentionally made herself sprain her ankle, implying that she couldn't walk on her own. Zheng Yi didn't say anything, directly picked her up, leaving the side chick in envious eyes, and they went into the elevator. Zheng Yi still didn't put Jiang Li down. As a result, He was seen by his colleagues in the company and was also ridiculed by his brother. But Zhang Yi thought that it was only natural for him to spoil his woman. Besides, after getting off work, the side chick intentionally pretended to be drunk, bothering Zhang Yi to go for a walk with her, but he refused, saying that Jiang Li was still waiting for him at home, and he couldn't make her sad. In fact, Zhang Yi had no feelings for her at all. He only regarded her as a sister. He only regarded her as a friend and a colleague. Beyond these two relationships, he couldn't give anything else. Ning Xia was dissatisfied with losing to Jiang Li. How could she be willing to give Zhang Yi to someone else? The domineering CEO drove his girlfriend home, and the girlfriend gave him a farewell kiss. Unexpectedly, her mother, who was watering flowers upstairs, saw them, and the two suddenly became awkward. In the next second, Zhang Yi was questioned by his future father-in-law. They both wondered why Zhang Yi had been dating Xiao Ran, and now it was Jiang Li. Zhang Yi was about to explain something when his future mother-in-law spoke, saying that he still wasn't clear with Ning Xia a few days ago. Jiang Li quickly explained that it was a misunderstanding. Her mother said this charming face was truly confusing. He explained that he and Ning Xia were just ordinary colleagues, but no matter what he said, his future father-in-law still didn't agree for them to be together, not letting them be apart. Jiang Li quickly took Zhang Yi's hand, saying that she liked him and she didn't care about anyone else. Then Zhang Yi greeted them, and the two left. They completely disregarded their parents' feelings. She was truly a girl. But when the two got home, Zhang Yi always thought that doing this was wrong. His love with Jiang Li had to have the approval of his in-laws. He went to his father-in-law's house again. The mother-in-law looked disgusted when she saw him. To please his mother-in-law, he took out 2 bottles of wine, because he knew from Jiang Li's mouth that her mother-in-law had loved this since she was little. To get his mother-in-law's approval, Zhang Yi drank 1 glass after another. After a while, he drank so much that even his mother-in-law approved of them. After the two returned home, Zhang Yi also swore that he would never do anything to make Jiang Li sad. On the way home the next day, Zhang Yi received a call. He said he was with a friend. Jiang Li was unhappy to hear that, took Zhang Yi's earphones, and explained to the other person that she wasn't just a normal friend of his. She was his legal girlfriend. This silly girl finally woke up. It turned out that the other end was Zhang Yi's mother. This was great. The ugly daughter-in-law had to meet her parents-in-law, his parents. After seeing Jiang Li's appearance, the father also said that his son and her older sister were not meant to be, and the mother also had a high attitude, saying that Zhang Yi was a dragon and phoenix among men, not something that ordinary girls could obtain. They had to find a suitable daughter-in-law for the family. Jiang Li saw that they didn't like her at all. If they were to take out 20 million yuan to make her leave Zhang Yi, she would happily accept it. That day, Ning Xia invited her classmate Chen Yang to dinner. To her surprise, Jiang Li and he were good friends. Seeing the two being too close, the woman planned something in her heart. After dinner, she asked Jiang Li to go shopping with her, saying that her friend's birthday was coming up and she wanted to buy a gift for her friend. She also told Jiang Li that she knew this friend, too. Jiang Li's heart suddenly leaped to her throat. Could it be for Zhang Yi? When Ning Xia paid, Jiang Li saw a picture of her and Chen Yang. Now she knew everything. In fact, this was Ning Xia's plan. She intentionally made Jiang Li think that the two of them were in love. Ning Xia said she liked Chang Yang, but didn't dare to express herself to him. This naive and silly girl also advised her, telling her how to pursue a boyfriend, not telling Jiang Li anything about this. The girl fell for it. She set up a location for Ning Xia, and it was almost ready. Ning Xia didn't show up. Jiang Li called and asked where she was, but Ning Xia said that she couldn't go and she was having fun with Chen Yang. This silly girl took pictures with Chen Yang and then sent them to Ning Xia. After receiving the photo, Ning Xia immediately went to Zhang Yi, using the opportunity to bring him coffee and intentionally mentioning that Jiang Li had gone camping with Chen Yang. Ning Xia hurriedly showed him the photos of the two. Ning Xia was too scheming. This silly girl had been betrayed. Later, Ning Xia took another opportunity to confess her feelings to Zhang Yi, once again being rejected by him after a woman confessed her feelings. After returning home, Zhang Yi asked Jiang Li where she had been today, but she said she had gone shopping with her mom because Ning Xia didn't allow Jiang Li to tell others, so she lied to him. But Zhang Yi was very heartbroken when he knew the truth. In fact, Jiang Li was also a victim of the two of them. This silly girl didn't know. She kept asking Zhang Yi to help Chen Yang invest. He knew Chen Yang wasn't a good person, but for his beloved girlfriend, he still agreed. After meeting Chen Yang, Zhang Yi introduced him to a major investment client. Unexpectedly, to get Jiang Li, Chen Yang arranged for Zhang Yi to work together, telling Jiang Li in front of him that the client that Zhang Yi had found for him didn't come. When Zhang Yi arrived, Chen Yang also had physical contact with Jiang Li in front of him. This made Zhang Yi angry and vowed to reveal his true scheme, letting Jiang Li know what kind of person he was. So Zheng Yi gave all the investment clients to his opponent. Qinyang was fired by his boss. Ning Xia hurriedly told Jiang Li, who knew the truth and was very worried about him. She just wanted to comfort Qinyang. Unexpectedly, at this time, Ning Xia played another trick. She saw Jiang Li outside and intentionally said that Chun Yang's investment had failed, all because Zheng Yi was playing tricks behind his back, not telling Jiang Li so as not to affect the relationship between her and Qinyang. Hearing these words, Jiang Li didn't eat anymore. She just wanted to ask Zheng Yi to understand what had happened. But she saw a copy of Chun Yang's file on his desk. This made her even more convinced. After that, they had an argument. Initially, they were a loving young couple, looking as if someone was about to tear their hearts apart. She didn't want to spend more time with Zheng Yi. Zheng Yi let Jiang Li stay. He had to take off his hair tie and say that it used to be hers. It turned out that Zheng Yi was reading a book when he was young. A little girl came and wanted to take the book from him. The book was torn when they pulled it. The angry boy snatched the girl's hair tie. After this incident, the two became good friends. Then the girl suddenly disappeared. The boy was also adopted by the Lai family. He had thought that the two of them would never meet again until he met Xiao Ran. Only then did he realize that she had a twin sister named Jiang Li. Zheng Yi sent people to check Jiang Li's whereabouts. Since then, he had been observing Jiang Li's every move every day. Seeing Jiang Li happy, all of Zheng Yi's troubles disappeared. But suddenly, one day, Jiang Li disappeared again. Until the moment Jiang Li entered the company to replace her sister, Zheng Yi's heart was flickering with hope. Jiang Li finally understood the meaning of this hair tie. But even so, Jiang Li still couldn't forgive him. Love wasn't a reason for him to hurt others. She was still fighting for Qinyang, scolding Zheng Yi. Jiang Li hoped that the two of them would calm down, but at dawn, she suddenly had a high fever. Zheng Yi hurriedly took her to the hospital. In reality, in her heart, Jiang Li hadn't completely forgiven what Zheng Yi had done, so she took advantage of the moment when he went to buy breakfast, packed her pajamas, and returned to her parents' house. Her parents asked her what was wrong, but she didn't say anything. At this time, Zheng Yi went to buy breakfast. Seeing that Jiang Li had left, he realized that this time it was a big problem. He was worried about Jiang Li's health and hurriedly ran over, but was blocked at the door by Xiao Ran. Unable to receive Jiang Li's forgiveness, Zheng Yi always worked diligently, becoming absent-minded during meetings. He came to Jiang Li's house again, seeing her parents returning from the market and chasing him away. On the way back, he saw Jiang Li and Qinyang together again. Qinyang also saw Zheng Yi. He intentionally wrapped his arm around Jiang Li. He also said that Zheng Yi's plans were too despicable. This made Zheng Yi very angry. He also said that it was inappropriate for Jiang Li to be with Zheng Yi. Immediately after that, he took out another ring and put it on Jiang Li's hand. He hoped that Jiang Li would seriously consider their relationship. But Jiang Li couldn't forget Zheng Yi at all. How could she accept his ring? Waiting until Jiang Li left, at this time, Zheng Yi just appeared. He warned Qinyang not to bother Jiang Li again. The person Jiang Li loved now was him. Qinyang also refused to give in. He said that he was the person Jiang Li was looking for, and no matter what, he would definitely snatch Jiang Li away. Zheng Yi wasn't afraid of his threats. To beg for Jiang Li's forgiveness, Zheng Yi waited downstairs at her house, not even caring that it was raining heavily. In this way, he stayed downstairs at her house until morning. Her parents still didn't agree. Jiang Li's father saw that Zheng Yi was also sick because of this. While having a high fever, he mistook Ning Xia for Jiang Li. Then he took Ning Xia's hand. She saw Zheng Yi like this now, and she felt quite uncomfortable. In addition, Jiang Li was still very sad. Even though she had returned to her hometown, she couldn't forget Zheng Yi. She heard her mother say that Zheng Yi wanted to meet her. Last night, he stood under her house in the rain all night long. Hearing this, Jiang Li was still very worried, but this time, Ning Xia appeared again. Jiang Li could tell at a glance that she was wearing Zheng Yi's shirt. Now she knew everything. It was all a lie. Jiang Li leaving Zheng Yi was good for both of them. Jiang Li immediately felt uncomfortable. In the evening, Zheng Yi sat downstairs at Jiang Li's house, as usual. Her father intentionally told Jiang Li. She saw Zheng Yi through the window. Her excited heart could no longer be controlled. She intentionally pretended to take out the trash and went downstairs. Zheng Yi hurriedly ran over and grabbed Jiang Li's arm. He hoped that Jiang Li could listen to his explanation. Zheng Yi took out a stack of photos. It turned out they were photos of her and Qinyang having dinner. It turned out that Qinyang had taken advantage of the loophole when Jiang Li was sleeping, secretly viewing confidential documents on Jiang Li's phone. Adding to Zheng Yi's explanation, Qinyang didn't have good intentions in returning to China. This time, he stole their company's secrets through despicable means. Only after that did Jiang Li know the truth of the matter, apologizing for her actions. The two returned to their original love. Jiang Li dressed up beautifully and was ready to have a romantic date with Zheng Yi the next day. But as soon as she came downstairs, she ran into Chungyang. Jiangli knew the truth. He had told him everything, but she never thought Xingyang would take out a video. Jiangli had switched identities, and he had known that he was the CEO of the company for a long time. Then he threatened Jiangli. If she wasn't with him, he would make this video public to destroy Zheng Yi and his company. Jiangli thought about the overall situation and decided to break up with Zheng Yi. He stopped Jiangli from leaving, wanting to know why she was like this. But how could Jiangli tell him? It was supposed to be a romantic date. Now, it was a farewell party for the two of them. Ningxia found Zheng Yi the next day, apologizing for her previous actions and wishing him and Jiangli happiness. As she left, she saw the vase on Zheng Yi's desk. She picked it up and she found a camera inside. In fact, this vase was given to Jiangli by Chungyang. When Zheng Yi watched this video, he finally understood why Jiangli broke up with him. At the same time, Jiangli was being threatened by Chungyang. She had to agree to go abroad with him. But just 1 second before leaving, her older sister even made public the matter of the two of them switching identities in front of the media. Chunyang's ultimate goal had vanished, but he still wanted to fight one last time. He confessed his feelings to Jiangli, but Zheng Yi appeared at this time. Chunyang could only leave in despair. This time, no one could stop the two of them. This was true love. The two immediately went to the Civil Affairs Bureau to register their marriage. Jiangli was also officially promoted to Mrs. Lai.